Are you ready?
Aye.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another vlog from me, and this one is probably one of my most requested videos, and it's all about Euan and his experience. Obviously I have given my opinion and our opinion as a family, but I know a lot of people are keen to understand how Euan feels about the situations and our experience so far. So what I've done is I've gathered some questions both from people asking on YouTube and Instagram, and then I've also added in some questions that I feel are probably questions that I feel like people would ask and want to know. So we'll go through it, and yeah, hopefully you find this helpful. So first question, and one of the ones that we definitely get asked a lot, so how has your experience been? How do you find it's been since coming over from the UK?
It's probably been different for yours because I'm more at work, so having to leave the house every day and commute to work then come back, so probably have a different perspective of how it's been so far.
Was it what you expected?
Yes and no. You still do the same boring stuff you do back home, like having to cut the grass and having to wash the car, and that stuff comes with you.
Life.
Nah, just general day-to-day life just follows you everywhere, so...
I think a lot of people will probably fall in the trap of, you know, like when you get adverts and it's almost like a holiday and you see the advert for the holiday, and it's almost like that with Australia, and then when you're here and actually living family life as you would in the UK, it's not always just the brochure.
No,
does that make sense?
No,
like,
you're not finishing work at 12 o'clock, grabbing your surfboard and going surfing every single day.
Yeah.
It's similar in ways to back home, where you end up in a routine, like Monday to Friday you're at your work and stuff like that, but it's the free time after it which is the
that's
the
what
biggest
makes
positive.
Yeah. That's almost like what makes it worth it, is during your free time there's so much more you can do, and you don't have to worry about planning because you know the weather's always going to be good, right? So you can make last minute decisions, whereas in the UK you'd always have to plan that in advance, and then you almost felt disappointed when that day came around and the weather ruined it.
It wasn't good or whatever. Yeah.
I've put this into sections and obviously put down things that I feel people are really keen to understand. And one of the main things that I do get asked a lot about is work, and obviously what Euan does for a job is what brought us over here in the first place. So for those that are new to my channel and obviously first time watching this vlog, Euan is a civil engineer and we were brought over on a 482 sponsorship visa. One of the main questions that I do get asked a lot is how easy was it to be able to find a sponsorship of your work, and obviously the 482.
Well, when we first started looking, I more applied via Seek, and that wasn't really fruitful. I think we got one response from about 20, 20 applications. Then I kind of just moved on to LinkedIn. Then from there I just done my research on kind of construction companies that I kind of experience in, and typed in the recruiters on it, or seen any mutual connections from old workplaces or from the same university. Then just sent them a message, just explained our circumstances, that we were looking to move and what we were looking for. Then
expectations.
That worked the best out of them all.
And it did take quite a while, because again a lot of people do ask how long did you wait, and I get that it becomes almost, you become impatient, but it did take a while.
Oh, it did. Basically it was a full year from contacting them.
That's right.
Getting that initial interview, then after the initial interview there was quite a long, it was 6 weeks where we heard nothing, and I actually think that was intentional to see if it was a cooling off period.
That's right, I remember this,
Got the impression that's more to kind of weed out the people that are doing it off the cuff, or somebody who's actually thinking about it and
More
going through
seriously,
the process of trying to get there. So
Seek is basically the UK version of Indeed, isn't it?
yeah.
So yeah, you didn't really find that helpful, whereas LinkedIn certainly got him the connections that he needed to get. And obviously LinkedIn's good as well because it's your own history, so people can literally see
it's like
it.
an online CV straight away. It's like, I definitely. For me, it's been the best one, and even and you go on now and you can see there's loads of jobs. Like advertising and stuff
that's
now
right.
as well, so it is really good.
Going back to obviously your job, a civil engineer, and your role here that you do in Australia, how do you feel that compares to what your role would be in the UK? Is it the same, or do you feel like you do more or less?
It's round about the same, but there's just kind of differences in it. So you know, whereas back home that you were expected to do something, here it's actually a completely separate role. So somebody else maybe does a section of your job completely separately.
Right. Okay.
And vice versa as well. So it's similar in a lot of ways, different terminologies and acronyms for things and stuff like that takes time to get your head around, but everything else is pretty much similar.
Obviously you said there are different words. Is there anything you can think of the top of your head?
There's what they call a pressure washer here. They call it a gurney.
A gurney?
They call a pressure washer a gurney. They call a concrete truck, back home we'd call it a J gurney, call it an adje.
This means nothing to me, by the way, but obviously I'm sure if you're watching this you will understand this more. But I remember the other night you said to me you were laughing about what they call a still saw.
They call it a demo saw.
And do you
call it a demo saw, we just call it, back home we just call it a still saw.
So do you find that they laugh about that?
Yeah. We always like, I work in quite a multinational team. There's Chinese, Korean, Australian, British, Irish, like workers all there, Brazilian. So everybody's got different words for
And is that different to back home?
Yeah.
So another question I do find comes up a lot is about the hours. So and how they compare to the UK. I think there's a feel that here you definitely finish a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Is that true? Do you feel like that?
Not Marrow, no. So I feel I do more hours here. In fact, I'd just say I do a lot more hours here, not just more.
Yeah.
I think if you're a tradie, so if you're like more electrical, plumbing, joinery, carpentry, that type of stuff, your day is probably shorter. You start a bit earlier maybe, you start at like 6:30, 7, and you work till usually like 3, 3:30.
Yeah, which I do notice because that's also the school time here, but you see a lot of tradies, is that what you see a lot of them around 3 o'clock, and I feel like rush hour here starts from 3 o'clock. That's something we said, didn't we? Like rush hour here is not an hour, it's like 3 till like 5, 6, isn't it?
Probably,
just busy constantly, whereas back home I felt like it was 5 onwards. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you work, well, you're certainly away anyway, like 13 hours a day, which has probably put a lot of pressure on us as a family. Your contract doesn't really reflect that, so that was something we really didn't expect when we came over here, was that Euan would be working these long hours. Obviously you're here with no support.
I suppose everybody's got like their own circumstances, but for me personally it's like back home you were there or around with your hours, and occasionally you would go over them to get something done, but here it's kind of
the norm that
you're over them a lot. Then you get times where like you're really over them as projects come to an end and stuff like that. So it's
and weekends as well. I feel like
I do a lot more weekends now. That's part of that's more to do with the industry or the area of construction I work in now. So you can't really work until it's the weekends and stuff. So
but then I suppose there's a little benefit to that, which at the time I do feel like when Euan tells me he's working that weekend, inside I am literally dying because I am so stressed out with the kids. And then you look forward to the weekend because you get that little break, but then when Euan says he's working, obviously you're like, oh my goodness. But it does mean that you then get a day off through the week.
Yeah, it's got like a kind of almost like a day in lieu policy. So
obviously being in Sydney, when that day comes around, it's actually really good because we get to do things as a family that at the weekend you can do, but it's a lot busier. And also through the week things can be cheaper, they're a lot quieter, and it just feels like you can do more things without feeling a bit more stressed.
It's easier getting around and stuff, and things are a bit quieter. So
yeah. Another question I get asked a lot is how you manage working in the heat. Obviously your job is outdoors. You're not in an air conditioned office.
No.
So yeah, I would probably tell people what you wear to work for a start, and how
I
you
usually
manage.
have a wide brim hat, which helps keep the sun off you, and your sunglasses and long sleeved shirts, like the orange shirts, which is unusual because you didn't really get them back home.
No, that's right.
Usually you wear like a jacket and stuff, but it's actually the long sleeved orange shirts, which are
they're like linen, aren't they? They're quite thick.
Like a thick cotton or whatever it is, and it's like protects you for the sun, which is obviously good. Yeah, and if it gets to a certain temperature, I can't remember it off the top of my head, it's like high 30s, then like it stops anyway. And it's fine, it's hard, it's definitely hard, especially you notice if you stand in the sun for like 5-10 minutes talking to somebody, like your sunglasses start to steam up and like you feel yourself starting to get really, really hot.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to like, then try and cool down after that, so it's...
Do you feel like you get used to it though?
You do, and I would say like, we were expecting like a really, really warm summer here. So far I've actually found it like not that bad. I've actually found the heat in like Spain worse. I don't know.
I know what you mean.
I don't know if it's a humidity difference or what, but here, minus that day, it was like 44.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. It's been okay so far.
Finally, just to close off the working questions, do you feel there's more progression here as opposed to the UK? And obviously we are in Sydney, we weren't in a major, we were in a big area back home, but we weren't in like a city. Do you feel there's more progression opportunities here?
I think so. Like, it's obviously a shortage in that skill, so there is opportunity to push on and move through, and if you work hard and you just turn up all the time and like do your job the best you can, then I definitely think you can.
Opportunities are there.
There is opportunities there.
So moving on to socialising, another question that I do get asked a lot through comments on YouTube and obviously in my direct messages, is all about making friends in Australia, and it's actually one of the things that I can honestly say I've struggled with a bit. I didn't think it would be as hard as it has been, and now whether that's where we are situated or because we are a family and not necessarily people on like a working holiday visa which have more opportunity to make friends, I can honestly say that I've found it more difficult. However, I suppose I understand that when you think of people potentially our age or in a family, you probably have your group of friends at that stage and you're not necessarily looking for new people, and I do get that. However, I did think at this stage that we would probably had more of a group than we have, but again we have moved quite a few times now. I've not really had the foundations to make a consistent group of friends, and obviously we have met a few people who have been lovely and it's been really nice being able to even go out for dinner with them. But in terms of being a male, a man, a dad, how would you say your view is of that, making friends?
It's pretty difficult. I think guys tend to have their friends, then they don't really make friends after that. Like, they just kind of...
Especially when you think of your friends back home, like you've literally had them since...
first year of high school, and even earlier than that.
And you've not really recruited any new
people.
people.
No, nobody usually comes in either, so... I know it's difficult because obviously I'm at work all day. Like I'm away at 5 in the morning, no in until like 6 at night. So you find it quite difficult to like find time to go out and socialise, and like my kind of hobbies, like maybe going to the gym or so.
It's
like
really your only opportunity.
To talk to folk and stuff, and like and you're there like through friends of friends and stuff, but it's difficult.
Your hours don't help.
No, and you end up getting kind of closer to guys you work with, and then maybe going out for a beer with them after work and stuff like that, and so that's where you kind of you meet people and stuff. So
yeah, but you would say that it's
a lot. So it's difficult here, but we very very rarely get we very rarely get the option or the opportunity, sorry, to go out just the two of us. So
yeah, that's also true. I do think when we probably move to Central Coast and we actually find our like community, and we'll probably get involved in quite a lot, especially with the kids. You probably find that that's maybe where we'll start to then see the same people and make that kind of connection with them. I suppose there's a part of us that aren't really making a huge effort just now because we're aware that
we're moving and stuff, so
we are going to be moving. So keeping on the topic of friends, how do you feel, how easy is it to keep in contact with your friends back home, like your solid group?
It's pretty hard because of the time. Obviously, the time difference is the most obvious one. But your group chat goes a lot and stuff. Trying to speak to people on the phone's a bit more difficult. Quite lucky, like a few of my closest friends work night shift back home, so that works for us. Because you can maybe speak for a few hours during the day.
And one of the other things I feel like we've spoke about quite a lot is sometimes you feel like when you call home, you've done so much more, and whether or not that's because we are still new here and still experiencing everything new.
Still exploring and looking at stuff. And,
you sometimes feel like when you call back home and you ask somebody what they've been up to and their usual answer is not much.
Same stuff.
And you feel like when they ask you, it's not like you're bragging, but it feels like you've done this whole list of things. And you're excited to tell your friends about it because it's new. I suppose that's what being in Australia is all about, more opportunities, more things to do.
You're busy, like we've left life back home where it was like much, like we're established, we're settled.
You've done the same as all your friends.
You just kind of went through, like, worked through life, but whereas you come here, it's like everything's like new and shiny, so
you want to
travelling everywhere, you're travelling everywhere, experiencing different stuff, going to different beaches, and so it is, everything's a bit more, you feel like you're doing a lot more with your free time and stuff.
Absolutely. And then finally, someone actually just asked me this the other day, do we find there's a lot of Scottish where we are? So I'm going to let you answer this one first.
No really, no, I wouldn't say so. You do come across
the thing about being Scottish is you can pick up the accent. If there's 100 people and somebody says a Scottish word, your ears like go to it, right?
And then you'll go and talk to each other as well, which is quite cool.
So moving on now to sport and hobbies as such, and I'm probably going to have to let you take the lead on this because I am just not interested in football whatsoever, but how does it compare, football here to the UK?
Well, I think that's like a weekend of sport is different. Like, so back home, like Saturday, 12 o'clock would be a game on, then you'd have the scores from 3, then a Saturday night game, then a Sunday was like all day Sunday football. Then like Formula 1 on a Sunday as well, and here it's slightly different because there is football on a Saturday here, like they have their own league, the A-League. I've been to a couple of games and it's been good, but it's just like you're kind of wanting to follow like your team, and then on general European football, so the time difference doesn't help. So the scenes are early in the morning or really late at night.
So is football or soccer here as big as it is in the UK?
No.
Right, okay.
No.
One of the things that you've done quite a lot back home as well is had like your football bus.
You go on a supporters bus and stuff, but Australia's that big, like a lot of the teams are kind of in the East Coast, like where we was, but they're not going to, like, people aren't going to travel to Perth on a bus.
Yeah,
so,
sure, yeah. In terms of hobbies, it's obviously harder to have a hobby at this time anyway, just because having 2 kids. And when it comes to night time right now, I am just wiped out. Like, I'm wiped out from having the kids and just probably heat as well. And then you also want some time with your partner as well, you know, and just even just to sit and watch a film, or you know, you try and cherish those moments that you get, and it just becomes then hard to weigh up, you know, whether you go and find a new hobby or you just need a night in. And right now I can honestly say that we're still trying to find our feet, still trying to settle down, so everything that we would probably normally do in the UK is just a bit of a pause at the moment. You're still going with your gym, but that's your hobby, and you've paid that $1,000.
$1,000 or $1,100 from going.
Yeah. But I think when we move again, that's something we would like to do is, you know, try and, well, for me anyway, I'd like to try and get some hobbies back.
You start to reclaim a bit of your life back and stuff, and stuff that you want to do.
Yeah. So last question on sport. Anything that you miss?
No, really. Like I miss going to, like I used to go to football games, like with my dad and like my mates and stuff. So I miss that. Well, like they were good. I enjoyed it. They enjoyed it exactly. It was good doing that. So miss stuff like that. But minus that, like you feel life's that busy now that you've not really got time to kind of like look back. Like missing sports like pretty far down the list just now.
Yeah. But it's still a thing you can miss, you know. So moving on, only a couple of questions left. These are questions that I've had through YouTube. What has surprised you the most about Australia?
For us so far, one thing is like Sydney has surprised me in good ways and bad ways. So like I commute over the Harbour Bridge every single day, twice a day, and like every time I'm on the train, I look over and go, I can't believe I live here.
Yeah, nothing will beat that. Yeah.
Like people pay money to come here just for a holiday and then leave again, and like in such an iconic place. And go through into the CBD and stuff, and it's amazing and whatever, like all these familiar places you see in films. But then one thing that surprised me is like as you go a little bit west, like away from the Harbour Bridge, away from like inner west, it then just becomes complete suburbia, and it's just houses, traffic lights, houses, traffic lights, houses, and I suppose that's probably true for like any major city. And like where we live back home, like your Glasgow and Edinburgh, which are cities in their own right, but they're not enormous cities like on the scale of Sydney. But Sydney, like as you go out further west and stuff, it's just like houses. It's like a car park of houses. And then the roads are
and it's just the same. It's just the same all the way out.
Yeah. And so that surprised me, like renting. Like I know you've touched on this on previous videos, but like going to look at houses would sometimes like you go, oh that looks like a nice house, let's go and see that, and we'd go and you'd walk in and go, this picture's from 10 years ago.
It's like when it was staged.
It was a completely different carpet. Like we went and seen a house 2 weeks ago, and the kitchen was nice and bright and airy, and when we turned up and they had put a garage on the side there, and then the kitchen window looked into the garage, and you go, this is like completely different.
You would not get away with that in the UK.
You wouldn't get
that wouldn't happen.
And then like in the nicest way, like the agents doing it have absolutely no shame because they're just like, that's the way it is. So
do you want it or not?
There's like kind of more fully people that actually like suffer that and do it, but that's been like really surprising.
Probably you've already touched on it, but how multicultural it is.
Sydney especially is really.
That surprised me, you know, just because I'm
like you, I never really put Australia as being and I don't know why, but I just never put Australia down as being a destination for
everyone wants to go to.
For everyone, and then which is quite counterintuitive because we moved here and loads of people we know move here. But
that's probably to do with our climate though, do you know, like our climate and our opportunities, whereas I feel like sometimes that's more towards the UK, like that you do get a lot of opportunities in other areas that have come here. Does that make sense? Like they get the weather, they get the opportunities, but still Australia is the place to be, and you can understand why, but it was just a big surprise.
Childcare costs that's something we said that if we had the chance to do this again, we would have came over on a different visa. Because we never realised that the childcare costs would actually be as high, because the kind of research we done back home was like 100 to 120-ish. But then we got here and it's like actually it's closer to 160.
That's right,
And you go, right, okay, then the rent, when we looked at the rent back home, we're like, somewhere between 700 a week and 1,000 a week will be
more than enough.
Will be suffice, but then you get here, then you go in and go, like we just touched on, you go and look at the pictures and you're like, this is $700 a week and it's
It
does not
look
look
like
that. Does not
Yeah.
look like that.
So you actually need to
Yeah,
up
you start
everything.
upping everything. So all that stuff starts adding up. Then Sydney in particular has got an issue with toll roads, and so you really want to drive anywhere.
Yeah, that's probably a huge surprise for me.
Get
like the cost of just getting around in Sydney. Obviously, beaches are free, but then you're not taking into consideration your journey
depends
getting
where you're
there.
travelling from. Yeah,
Because
so
that costs.
Yeah, exactly. We're northwest, so we're having to go like if you can avoid the tolls if you want.
Add on.
You might as well leave the night before to get there. So you're having to drive through the motorway, through tunnels.
Yeah.
That type of stuff, and for us,
2 kids.
we never grew up with toll. Well, I can barely remember a toll road back home.
Forth Road Bridge.
That's the last one I can remember.
A pound.
To come in here and your little link tag is going off constantly. You're going, oh, so like when I'm driving back and forth to my work just now, I'm probably between $20 and $25
a day.
Just that's just to drive on the road.
Leading on to the next question then, which I feel like you've probably already answered there. What would you do differently if you could do it again? So
I would change a different visa. I came out on a PR visa, but like I think it's important not to beat ourselves up on that because it allowed us to get here quicker.
And a PR visa, it's more of a bigger outlay.
Yeah, that's what it suited us at the time. You know, we wanted to, when we made the decision to come here, we wanted it to happen as quickly and as structured as possible. So
that's right.
That's the type of visa we came out on allowed that structure.
It's definitely something that I would say to really consider though, right? Like if you are coming over, because from both sides, obviously we, like Euan's just said, we were really keen to come out of here. So yeah, looking after the kids seemed fine, but then you take away the support and then you add in, you know, the longer days because Euan's working longer and just not getting that break. It does become really, really hard. And sometimes when Euan comes in, it's almost like I will resent him because he's been able to travel to work for an hour, and in your head you're like, I've got an hour to drive home, and in my head I'm like, you've had an hour to yourself, and all these little things do definitely become more of a pressure. And something that we didn't think that we would, I don't want to use the word struggle, but we definitely didn't think we would be feeling as much as we are.
I don't think we even considered it for some reason. I don't think we really even considered. I would be away to work, then you'd be at home. Then that's what you touched on at the start of the video, is you forget, and you do forget because you see the brochure and you go, oh,
beaches
it's
and
beaches
hot
and
weather.
this and but you have to be in your house. You have to dinner's still just start making themselves, and
you have to run a house.
You need
and be with the kids. And
all these things are still they come with you. And it makes it difficult. But then saying all that stuff, I wish we'd done it earlier. The opportunities here and the lifestyle it offers, and there's so much that Australia does that's it's different from back home, but it's better.
Yeah, definitely. And especially for the kids. I mean, it's a lifestyle that you literally could not want anymore for them.
100%, yeah.
But one of the points that I've actually jotted down is that would we have preferred the kids to be younger? Would we have preferred them to be older? It's a really hard one because obviously the older they get, the more they are within their groups of friends back home, their schools. But then the younger they are, I would say from 0 to 4 is a difficult stage no matter when you come.
A lot of attention.
That's right. So it's really hard. It's easy, to say, oh, we wish we had done that, but I don't think there's ever really a right time to do it.
No, there's not.
But if you can have support in form of childcare, then it definitely helps.
Oh, that's it. If you want to come over and you have maybe hyper kids like we have, and it's definitely just that should be a big thing that weighs in your mind of if the option's there to get your whatever visa number it is, but your permanent resident visa, then you should go for that one.
Then final question, just to finish off this vlog, what advice would you give to men, dads that are coming over as a family unit, coming over like us, and what advice would you give to them?
Probably as a family unit is in the like really hardest times, you need to just see the bigger picture. Like, take the small moments of when it's been good. So, like seeing your kids at the park a lot, seeing them outdoors a lot,
Being at the beach.
Like, that's what should be going right, overriding the first difficult couple of years where it's really like, it's tough and you miss home and you realise you've not got that support and stuff like that. Like, that's the stuff you need to kind of
focus
hold on to it, then that, like, to allow you to keep going forward and trying it. You try it. If you've got if you've got that itch in you to come out and try it,
do it.
Like, come out, try it, and
I think you have to.
Yeah, you have to, because you don't want to be that person when you're 50, 60 going, oh, I had the chance to go there
and I wish I'd done
it. And I never done it.
And most people that we've spoke to have said that, right?
They have said, I had the opportunity and
wish I'd done it.
Yeah. I think some people maybe have a feeling that there's like a failure in this. Like, if you go home, that means you've failed, and that's couldn't be any further from the case. You go home, you'll have broadened your horizons.
Yeah.
You'd have had an experience with your family that a lot of other people have not done. The best case, you move here and you end up finding what you've been looking for, and it all clicks.
That's right.
And you go,
that's right.
That's it. Like,
and obviously we are really keen to make this work, and I'm sure our move will open up.
So we're moving to a place where we feel like that's why we moved here. One thing for us is we never moved here to live so far away from a beach. That's not why we moved here. So
that's probably a good thing to remember. Like, always remember why you've done it. Don't settle for anything less. If you want to live at a beach, then live at a beach. And obviously that does come at a cost, but then you have to then sacrifice other things. If that's what you want to do, then I would really push to do that. And that's what we're doing.
Well, you're making the sacrifice of, like, we'll only be in another place a month, just over a month, and then we're having to pack up and move again, and all the costs with that. But like, you need to go through the pain to get to these things. I think the full purpose of like your channel and stuff as well is to be honest and say, didn't get on the plane, come over here and think, oh, this will be the easiest thing in the world.
Because then you will end up.
You'll just crash and burn. You'll go home, because it'll completely not meet your expectations on what it is.
Absolutely. But definitely do it. 100% you need to do it. And well done if you are even on that journey, because it's such a brave thing to do in the first place. I feel anyway.
Definitely.
But we will, I think, close this vlog then before our house
Gets right.
gets right. Thank you for watching. If you do have any more questions, or you feel like we haven't covered off something that you would have liked for us to have covered off, then just leave it below, and I'll make sure that we will respond. And absolutely, if you want to see Euan, on my channel more, then let them know. Yes. More. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.